Okay. Well, hi everybody. I'm Vance Stevenson, Al Ain, UAE, United Arab Emirates. And today is the 29th of May. And we're doing a Learning Together session right now. This is Learning Together episode 333, 333. So another milestone in the Learning Together saga. We sort of evolved from webheads in action. Rita Zeinstejer was one of the first webheads in action back in 2001, 2002. The group kind of started forming back then. And we're joined here by Elizabeth Ann in France and Grenoble, and Peggy George in Phoenix, Arizona, and Maria Colusa in Argentina has just joined us. So everyone is welcome. And if you want to use your microphone, you're quite welcome to say hi, actually, if you want. Anybody wants to say hi to us right now? Maria has texted, hi all. And we've been chatting a little bit. Peggy says she uses Chrome for Blackboard Collaborate, and it's usually just fine. Yeah, it has issues with Java. That's the problem. So anyway, okay. Peggy's voice is waking up. What time is it in Phoenix right now, Peggy? 7 a.m. 7 a.m. in Phoenix. Okay. So anyway, Rita, how are you today? You're joining us from Argentina. Two people from Argentina now. Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah, thank you. Very well, thank you, Vance. So thank you for your introduction, and I'd like to say good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, wherever you are. And thank you, Vance. Thank you, Peggy and Elizabeth and Maria for being here, for joining me today. And to those who are going to join this presentation once it's uploaded, thank you very much for, again, joining me. But first of all, I want to double thank Vance once again for giving us all the chance of getting together and for his consistent and persistent request for filling in these spaces we all love sharing, despite our being absent sometimes and for a long time. But there is Vance, always ready to host a new event, and I think that all webheads should make this enjoyable effort to help him keep this space alive. And
thank you very much. I hope people will take that to heart and share their presentations. So we're always looking for presentations. Sometimes we're full of presentations. It just so happens in the summertime we sort of hit a doldrum, and we have a few lined up, but and I might not have them every week. I think I've decided to sort of pace back a little bit. If I don't have one every week, I'll shoot for every other week. And we had one last week, so sometimes they come weekly. And anyway, I'm just trying to, I get very busy, so rather than kill myself, I think I'll just relax and do them as they come.
Yeah, I hope that more webheads will be able to share their experiences, because it's great to go on getting together, Vance, and your work and your efforts are really so great and so valuable. Thank you very much again. So, well,
thank you.
Yeah, no, it's my pleasure. Today I'm going to talk about fueling engagement with humor. And before I start, and I want to quote these words by Dee Dickinson when she said that classrooms in which laughter is welcome help bringing learning to life. And, I need to say that much has been written in recent years about the importance of the affective environment in the second language classroom. Such classrooms are ones in which learners are not afraid to take risks and use their second language. Students are encouraged and praised for their efforts to always use their second language in class. And students don't face ridicule nor negative criticism. Error correction is appropriate, timely, constructive, and seeks to instill confidence in each student. However, at times We overlook humor as an important element in teaching, in teacher training, and how humor can contribute to a positive environment for learning. Students of education are not always given the opportunity to examine the impact of their own preferences of teaching style, or their own willingness to use certain strategies, such as humor, in their language teaching. And because of a lack of time to explore such personal views, we may be missing an opportunity to enhance learning in our classrooms. Christensen, in the year 2000, emphasized this need to create a welcoming classroom for language learning. And he wrote, in order to take risks, you need a learning environment in which you do not feel threatened or intimidated. In order to speak, you need to feel you will be heard, and that what you are saying is worth hearing. In order to continue your language learning, you need to feel motivated. In order to succeed, you need an atmosphere in which anxiety levels are low and comfort levels are high. Issues of motivation and language anxiety are key to this topic of affect in the second language classroom. And let me add that the word affect has been used here as a noun that is relating to an emotional state as opposed to a cognition. Studies suggest that the use of humor in the classroom reduces tension, improves classroom climate, increases enjoyment, increases student-teacher rapport, and even facilitates learning. So in the agenda today, I'm going to include the reasons why we should be integrating humor and comics, therefore. I'm going to talk about strengths of comics as an educational tool, present some online activities and tools, just share how and why comics can add to our daily teaching, and I'm going to speak about some cartoon learning skills. And well, Boorstin in 1984 coined this term, illiteracy, to describe a generation of people who are not illiterate. That is, people who, having the ability to read, will not choose to read books. People who will reject the idea of books, and who will limit their reading to the functional, to the necessary short rubrics that enable them to get tasks done, to taking a quick look at street signposts and billboards, or to focusing on the short sentences they post in the social networks they are members of. They would definitely prefer watching television to reading books. And this is obviously a sad reality to educators worldwide. Well, if we have seen the integration of music, of drama, and of video into the classroom, what about the integration of comics? Well, comics can make a rich combination of this enjoyable human feature, which is humor, and the writing skill we need to develop in a different way, even though for many educators the simple mention of humor will bring out disagreements and protests, and might say, I'm not funny, I don't use humor, or maybe I can't tell a joke, let alone use one in class. But for others, it is something to be feared, synonymous with classroom disorders and chaos. So they might be saying, I'm not about to start telling jokes because it might mean a complete loss of control. For some, this resistance to using humor may simply be a lack of knowledge as to how we may use it effectively in class. Others associate humor and its use with non-productivity. Yet humor is as authentic and as communicative a human reaction and social skill as is greeting and conversing with friends. Humor will allow the shy or timid student in your class to participate with the group. If humor is used properly, it will allow the student to feel a part of the class and possibly contribute without losing face, feeling exposed or vulnerable. This is of particular importance in a communicative classroom with the accent is on verbal authentic communication, participation, and interaction. And it's a way of reaching out to those students who are too afraid or nervous to attempt expressing themselves in their second language. As with other facets of our lives, humor plays a major role in our everyday social interaction. We should therefore not ignore it, but instead make it part of our everyday classroom learning. Clearly, the 5 identified strengths of comics, that comics is a genre which is motivating, visual, permanent, intermediary, and popular, can be exploited in practically any subject and at practically any grade level. They are intermediary because comics can serve as an intermediary step to difficult disciplines and concepts. Many language arts educators have used comics in this manner with tremendous success. Carl Kernke in 1981 suggests that comics can lead students towards the discipline of reading, especially those who don't enjoy reading or have a fear of failure. They are permanent because they serve a permanent purpose and are valid through time and space. We all know that visuals are so really motivating, and that we love images, and they are motivating, and we all know also that they are very popular. We are all ready to read a comic, whatever it might be. And they can also convey feelings and situations by the use of these well-known bubbles that we now use, and which we recognize as bubbles that convey feelings by themselves. Look at these graphics. Well, I'm sure that wherever we may be, these graphics will convey the same feelings to everybody, because the longer any form of art or communication exists, the more symbols it accumulates. And it says that the modern comic is a young language, but it already has an impressive array of recognizable symbols. And this visual vocabulary has an unlimited potential for growth. So within a given culture, these symbols will quickly spread until everybody knows them at a glance. And we will all agree that we can recognize these feelings conveyed by these figures, human figures. If you take a look at all these, the 3 words are present in all 5 drawings, and definitely they will convey different meanings. If we take a look at this other strip, again, the 3 same words will be understood in a different way, provided, or depending on the graphic on the face that we are looking at. So graphics convey a lot. And I can say, Van says, of course, having access to information required on the internet suppresses reading in depth as well, perhaps. Yes, perhaps, yes, good point. If you want to just interrupt me, because maybe I take the phone and I can go on speaking. So Vance or Peggy, Elizabeth, Maria, if you want to say something, please come up and just let's make it, just a dialogue, a conference. I don't want to make it a monologue. So what kind of activities can we think of and devise to integrate humor into our classrooms? To start with, well, we can use the simple activity of narrating a story by making use of one or many of the so many graphics and strips that we can find on the internet for free. And this is one which I chose out of so many I saw. Looking for strips in Google. I'm going to post some of the sources that you can go to be able to find any of these and many more. And in fact, this make-believe comics, which I'm sure everybody is by now acquainted with, which was created by Bill Zimmerman and which is being updated all the time by Generous Bill, who I met in, remember, Vance, we met him in TESOL several times, and the TESOL conferences, and he's so generous, and he's always putting up more and more practice tests and printables for teachers to make use of. Yes, Peggy. But anyway, there are so many comic creators now that we can make use of, which will enhance our teaching, definitely. And I was speaking about Bill, and if you go to his site, and you'll find lots of options to allow the students to participate and write and make use of humor, provided, of course, we really challenge them to add this feature, which is so important. Another good creator, comic creator, is Boorstin. Are you familiar with Boorstin? Boorstin is a different kind of tool creator. It's a click and drag tool, which allows you to make your own characters, and the nice thing about this is that you can move them into any pose. And you can print, download, and embed the comic strip that you've made. You can even upload pictures and photos, and there is a freestyle comic layout which you can use to create your comic the way you want. So it's a very customizable and very interesting tool to use. And it's said to trigger students' motivation. For example, they can tell part of a story. I just thought of imagine a convict in need of saying sorry or giving reasons for his crime or supporting an innocent, and allowing your students to build up a character like this by giving them just a plain picture like this. And I'm sure the students will come up with any funny story, or for sure they will come up with something else and different from what we can think of, or maybe more enjoyable than any other kind of title we can think of when in need of giving or assigning a topic for writing. We can reorder pictures, and this is great because students will have to read and understand. It's a reading comprehension task, which is very good, and the students will enjoy this. Of course, you can do this by using Jing, and I'm going to talk about this in further detail in a little while. I use Jing for every single task I carry out. In fact, these slides are used using Jing and cutting out all the frames and putting them in different order. And I can remind you of sources. We can use Flickr or Free Photo Bank or Getty Images, and definitely Google Images. And don't worry if you don't want to take down notes. In fact, don't. I might send you a list of the URLs I am putting up today all together on a doc. So don't worry. Don't write any of the URLs I'm sharing today.
That's great, and we'll share it in at learningtogether.net. So it will be part of our show notes. So thanks for doing that.
Oh, thank you, Vance. Thank you. And I was saying that for all this presentation and for all the presentations I make, I use Jing, which is so easy to use. And I would say that the difference between Jing and Pixstick, which is not so popular, is that whereas to be able to use Jing, you need to download something, the software. When you use Pixstick, you won't need to download anything, so you don't have any space used in your PC. Yet, of course, if you use Pixstick, you need internet connection, whereas with Jing, you've got in your PC and you can work without internet connection. So these are pros and cons. Anyway, what is it that you can do with Jing? Well, you can take screenshots of images to create a comic, and you take a picture or make a short video of what you can see on your computer monitor, and you can then share it instantly the way you want, and really it's the perfect way to enhance your conversations because you can use it in the way you want. So remember, Jing is quite a friend. What else can we do? We can teach idioms. For us, you may know this well, Maria, in Argentina, it's so difficult to tell our students the meaning, to make them understand the meaning of idioms, which are so difficult to grasp. But with the help of just graphics or comics, I think they will enjoy not only the comic, but not knowing there is a medium which stands for maybe a situation or would convey certain feelings. So I do feel that teaching idioms through comics is a great way of making this learning easier. Look at this. I'm sure that an advanced students of the language will enjoy learning this so far so good, which is so much used in English, and maybe they will never use it if, a student of the language will never use it. Or we can integrate the phrasals. We can teach phrasals through idioms. So how shall we integrate this? You can go to different sites in which you will find comics, and you'll have hundreds of comics which you will be able to choose from, and maybe even trigger a discussion. Well, life is not about waiting for storms to pass, it's about learning how to dance in the rain. Again, this is one I picked up just randomly among the so many I saw while browsing the web, and so this is a good way of allowing your students to enjoy the language. Bit strips is a very good comic creator which allows users to use different characters and scenes and props and pieces of furniture, effects, shapes, outfits. So bear this one in mind. It's very easy to use and quite good for students to customize and very, very easily. Then guess the caption. I thought that this could be a good activity for learners of English at an advanced level, maybe for advanced students of the language, but for adults as well. This comes from the Daily Mail, where you'll find lots of pictures like this one with a caption at the top and one at the bottom, and I'm going to show you the one at the bottom. So what is it that we can do? We can show the graphic with the caption at the top, and then allow the students to guess what it is said at the bottom of the page. And for example, this one, the government is spending millions on surveys about people's well-being and general happiness. What do you think? The caption at the bottom of the picture might be saying, and then you come up with the original, which you will find in the newspaper, in the Daily Mail. This one is lovable. A teacher has been reprimanded for moonlighting as a porn star and stripper in the evenings. Can you imagine what, well, let's play it. Can you imagine what the caption at the bottom of the picture might say? No? Oh, sorry, maybe I'm going too fast. That's very good. That's very good. But in fact, this is what was published. Clarita, yes, I love you, yes. So you see, by adding humor and fun, I'm sure that this adds to our own knowledge as well. Well, moonlighting. In fact, there are so many words that adults will love learning through these comics. And, well, this is a page that you should be, or might be if you want it, visiting to find more. There is one every day, which, of course, you can choose the one that appeals the most to you and or that you think will appeal the most to your students, definitely. Then again, you can allow their students to promote their staff. Maybe if you give them the task to make a presentation and, well, deliver a presentation to their mates, you can allow them to publish or advertise their staff by using Marvel. Marvel is another tool, I would say, more for teenagers who would love it. Because they will find all those characters that they love, and they will be able to choose objects and write something and use sound effects and then download their product, even embed it in their blogs or send them by email or just print them. So that's another good comic creator. Or you can choose an image like this one and allow them to start or finish a story, which is so simple, but students might love it. And it is much better to just give them this chance of taking a look at a funny maybe ad, and much better than giving them a title, and you know, than an image really says so much more. Family circus. Oh, where is that, Peggy? If you, well, maybe I'll take down notes and I'll find it later, but it's great to know there are many more. Look at this one. So simple, but so nice, isn't it? Yes, and maybe speculate on why they are saying so, the stage of life, and with adults this would be really fun, wouldn't it? Yes. Then you can use the so well-known retelling a story kind of exercise by using comic strip, and students will be ready to retell a story. I can remember of an exercise which Cambridge examination poses for movers, which is young learners, in which they have to retell a story. And imagine that for the practice of this, for students, it will be much nicer to retell a story like this from the internet than a story which appears in one of the practice tests that they have to do while preparing for the exam. So I do think that the integration of comics is really wonderful at all levels and for all stages. Grammar practice. We can just do this so easily again. Passive voice, future tenses, through the use of, through the integration of comics. Or just again, a very simple graphic allowing them to talk about themselves, about their family, about their friends, about the things they like doing, and reminding them that a little bit of humor will add a lot of interest and success to their piece of writing. Again, focusing on grammar, and in this case, using an if clause, much more exciting than going through the three classical rules, right? So if a tree falls in what would happen, and or what will happen, you know, depending on what you come across, on the kind of comic that you find. But there are so many that I'm sure you'll find an example for every single thing that you have in mind. Functional language. So again, it's so difficult to teach. But then, isn't it great? I can't believe structures that our students, foreign language users, will not be able to use unless they integrate them somehow into their everyday language. journalists, if you want to show them what it is, just put up one like this and they will understand, instead of giving them the meaning of the word. In this case, I came across one mistake. Of course, this will depend on what you have and what you find, but spotting a mistake will make the kids feel really great and, you know, quite happy and satisfied with their search and with their understanding what a mistake means or what it is, hoping you would laugh. I guess that is a mistake. Vance, you native speaker, Peggy, native speakers of the language, Clarita, hope you would is a grammar mistake, isn't it? I hope it is, because I've chosen this as an example of spotting a mistake, and I think that it should be said, I hope you will love me. Anyway, next slide has to do with giving instructions. Again, reminding your students that you can give instructions through a comic strip and allowing them to integrate humor. I'm sure that most of them will do that very willingly. And here it is, comic strips. If you go to Google and you search for comic strips, you'll find so many. It's just a screenshot of a page I found when I did this search. So you'll see that there are plenty. You'll spend, yes, some time trying to spot the one that really suits your needs. Informal grammar, Clarita says, it is a mistake, but people might say, yeah, right. But then, of course, if we are teaching grammar, mainly in Argentina, we are very strict for some reason, and, well, something which I don't like too much. But again, if they are sitting for Cambridge exams, international exams, they will have to choose the right, to make the right choices, right, and write correctly. Photophonia. Are you familiar with photophonia? Photophonia is nice. The students can put up, Maria Colusa, yes, I'm sure you agree. Photophonia allows students to put up their own photographs and maybe to write a caption and say where they are from, and maybe speak about something they love doing or something is coming up, and or a piece of news they love. But I think that this will allow them to really concentrate on the words they're going to put up, to really convey the meaning that they want in a few words. Photophonia is to be a picture editing tool that lets, well, here the mistake, yeah? Once it was here, sorry about this mistake, it's a tool that lets, without the apostrophe, but anyway, that lets you produce animated and fun images instantly with ease, using your own photos and a bit of imagination and silliness. You can create your own fortune cookie message and share it with your friends, and this is nice because instead of writing something on a sheet of paper, students will be able to imagine this goes into a cookie, and of course you can even allow them to know why and where this is a customary thing after a meal. So this goes together with culture as well, and students, I'm sure, will love getting to know different ways of maybe behaving, or situations or contexts that well, they can understand and learn through comics. And they can build, for example, a spy profile in seconds and turn a photo into a picture belonging to a top secret agent, whatever. Yes, yes, and maybe we just ignore them for some reason, and well, I think we should bear them in mind all the time. You can allow your students to make a hanging billboard, create a billboard and with their portrait, and write a caption below. They can illustrate messages like safe driving, drink more water, help the planet, whatever. All those messages might be conveyed through comics. Imagine the thrill, or the enjoyment, the joy the students will get out of this task. I'm sure they will. And this is another one. Well, you can use images to ensure safety, respect, responsibility, and make students work on the code of conduct or on their school rules through different pictures, maybe in a funny way. You can run a contest and allow the students to put up their photographs of their pets, and maybe the topic could be cats versus dogs, and see who makes the funniest strip using or illustrating this topic. Or if they are advanced students of the language, you can use this message behind the image. Well, in fact, this is a cartoon by Bob from the Daily Telegraph, which mixes past and present as a D-Day veteran salutes himself when he was young, and he landed on the beach in Normandy in June 1944. But, well, this is only for advanced students of the language. But then you can find and devise as many tasks as your imagination allows when taking a look at the pages on so many different websites. This one I love. Yes, yes, memes are great ways to share messages with humor. True, Peggy. And yes. So there are so many, and maybe you can even again blank out the caption and allow the students to come up with whatever comes to their minds. And again, back to examinations demand. They have this in movers in Cambridge English exams. They have to tell the difference about that there are between two pictures, so they need to find one difference. You can do that and allow students to make different pictures and giving them differences, providing the differences so that they can exchange these pairs and work on the task in a different way. And for this, they can go to stripgenerator.com. Very nice tool. They can customize different pictures which have already been uploaded, or they can make a search and find the one they prefer, or you can start your own. Here is just a screenshot of one which I just made a draft on. So you can fill in the text fields and complete the bubble and use the image or the graphics that you want. You customize the strip, and then you can download it. So this is another good generator that you can use. You can illustrate expressions. Some of these expressions are worldwide understood, such as bravo, I guess. At least our students, oh, bravo, I can see it twice. Bravo will be understood in Argentina as well, but not rats, not yuck, not few. But once you show the students maybe a comic strip or just an image, with the representation of this interjection, they will be able to make others. And I love this way of understanding the language. Chogger is another good one, which allows you to combine sources. So students can put up their photographs, draw different, whatever it is that they want to draw themselves with the mouse. And they can import images which they have, add bubbles and add language. So Chogger is nice. You see, you can add comics. You can make comics and build them from scratch. You can make use of the language in dialogues and interviews, maybe providing a question so that students come up with the answer, or vice versa. So this is a very good way of allowing students to write without realizing that they are really using the language in English. They will be focusing on the fun that the activity is. You can use this, for example, if you have to make a review of a lesson that you have just finished. You choose 3 new words and allow them to build up a comic, working in groups, and of course focusing on the comic element. Then once they finish, you give them 5 minutes, 10 minutes. They work together on different ways of using these 3 words in a comic, presenting their versions and voting for the best version. So this is again very simple. You don't need the internet, and but you will be able to make them think about how to integrate humor. Tundu. I'm sure that some of you will be acquainted with Tundu. It's a very nice tool, and I love this one. And you see, you can maybe portray or illustrate different abstract words by choosing different elements from this Tundu. They are drag and drop figures that you can use, and you can use the bubbles and add language there. So again, Tundu is a very nice tool to use. You can illustrate daily news and allow students to be familiarized with the shape and size and content of a newspaper. And you can even allow them to understand cultural traditions by choosing different strips that you can find in so many places. Or you can allow them to write descriptions of themselves by using these characters, which are well known and lovable. And again, going back to make-believe comics, a sequence story will be able to come up. I mean, they can write a sequence story using make-believe comics very easily. Teenagers can speculate over a picture like this, and I can imagine girls really saying something about what they do say among or between themselves about someone else. I think that there are so many ways of exploiting all these images, adding the humor side. Another one which I love is Charlotte's Web. Charlotte's Web is a very nice tool as well, and it allows you to make your own comic and decide what happens to the character Wilbur, the character in the series. And you can print your product and share it with friends. Another way is InkSync. This is more limited, and I would say that this one you can use with advanced students of the language because it adds the cultural aspect, because it's drawn on Australian issues or from an Australian perspective. I would say so. Maybe it's not for kids, but it's good because we have in Argentina lots of advanced students of the language who want practice. So maybe through InkSync they might get not only practice but also some cultural background about places they haven't visited, or maybe they have but they would love to know a little bit more about. Take a look at these ones which I got from that site. This of course would be understood by everybody. They are not local, but or they might add something to their background, cultural background. So we should be using comics to improve reading proficiency, to emphasize and foster, never replace traditional reading, but yes, to foster reading, to increase their vocabulary, to anticipate plot, to learn how to shape a story by focusing on the different stages that a comic goes through, and we can add this to their own knowledge, making reading fun and helping this teaching of complex reading skills, outlining, paragraphing, and using literary terms. And this, of course, will encourage reluctant readers to read more and talented students to gain in knowledge and creativity. Peggy says, sequencing is an important skill. Yes, definitely, Peggy. When writing, we need this sequencing. We need to bear this in mind all the time. And good examples of deep thinking that can be developed through comics. That's true. Yes, thank you, Peggy. Thank you very much. We can even teach writing, grammar, and punctuation using very interesting stuff. We can boost interest in a topic or in a subject. We can teach visual literacy to elementary level students because we can adapt any of these cartoon makers to the level of our students. Of course, depending on the activity that we choose. We can emphasize hands-on manipulative-based activities. We can teach a multitude of literacy skills to students with a variety of learning needs. And in October 2004, in the New York Times Magazine, there was this, the comic book could become the next new literary form, which I guess has not come true yet, but why not? We might see it more popular quite soon. And finally, I would say that we need to identify cartoon learning skills because they will foster thinking, they will be creative, and they will foster the creative skills, and they will allow them to practice debating, they will be communicative, and they will be participating quite willingly, I guess. So when using and integrating online comics, we should never forget to consider classroom objectives. What are the comics' direct and indirect connections to state and local curriculum, and what are we supposed to include so that comics are not irrelevant to the curriculum we have in mind and we need to develop, and definitely age appropriateness of materials. Because we all know as teachers that forcing students to engage in activities gains no results. And in fact, we ourselves as teachers enjoy really much more when we have fun than when we don't. So thank you very much. I think I've been rushing through and took less than an hour to deliver this long presentation, and we were worried, Vance, remember that there were 95 slides. But then I rushed. I think maybe I did it too quickly. Anyway, thank you very much for joining me.
Thank you very much, Rita. And actually, it's obvious that you put a lot of work into this, which is we certainly appreciate that. We're very grateful that you put this together for us. And I suppose you're practicing it. This must be, is it sort of a stump presentation for you now? Is it something that you're doing in presentations in Argentina?
Yeah, I did it once already, and I'm afraid it fell flat in a way because maybe I haven't seen many teachers making use of humor myself, but maybe they have, I never know.
Yeah, no, obviously with 96 slides, it does well to practice it. So, and of course you'll be changing it probably as new things occur to you or sites go out of date and things like that. But anyway, obviously it's a nice resource to have, a nice arrow to have in your quiver, you know, among your many presentations. So this is a
Oh,
good
thank
one.
you.
So thank you very much.
Thank you,
Thanks
thank
for
you. I
joining us.
really love humor. I love humor. And I know, Vance, that you have a really sharp sense of humor, and I really enjoy your humor. So there are people who are more ready to be humorous than others. That's true. Some people are more, I don't know, serious, and maybe they really don't find humor to be a tool. But I do know, I'm sure that students really enjoy humor because I enjoy it myself.
I think teachers need to be actors and actresses in the classroom, and a lot of that is using humor at the right time, and getting students to laugh and to be serious at appropriate times. But obviously, humor, I think teachers instinctively, try to be humorous.
Yeah, yeah. And here Peggy adds a question, says, how do you deal with sarcasm? Well, I wouldn't. I wouldn't, because, well, in fact, sarcasm would be difficult to rule out of your humor, but I think that you should talk about that with your class. If someone uses sarcasm and maybe involves somebody, that should be tackled in the classroom, shouldn't it? And I saw another comment. Elizabeth said that humor can be very culturally bound, and that is very true. And I guess that because it is, it could help us to make students understand different cultural features, which are so very difficult to understand. I mean, if you don't use humor, I guess it would be really harder, wouldn't it?
Does anybody have any comments they'd like to make over the microphone? You're certainly welcome to engage our Rita in in direct questions. I'd like to hear your voices on the yes. Okay.
Yeah, it's Elizabeth here. I was intending not to chip in, but I have the most amusing example of the humor being culturally bound, because I married a Frenchman. When we went to England, it would happen again and again that my husband Michel would make a joke, and I knew it was a joke. No one else at the table knew it was a joke. And so again and again, his English is fine, but they're really, the sense of humor just didn't correspond. It was really quite amusing. In the end, so I get myself a label to say joke every time you say something. So I tell my students that one of the to me the being bilingual means you can tell a joke in the other language.
Yes, you're right there, Elizabeth, because sometimes a joke, which is, which students laugh at here in Argentina, will not play any kind of, will not have any kind of result. No, it will not be humorous anywhere else. That's true, but might help to make them understand differences, mainly, of course, if they are advanced students of the language. And maybe out of 10 students, 1 or 2 will get it, and the others will not get it. But, well, it's a way, it's something else to add to the culture the students need to know, right? Need to grasp. Yes, it's awkward to see that sometimes you cannot laugh at a joke everybody is laughing at. It's really awkward.
Yeah.
And besides, the English language offers such a wide range of humor which is not appreciated by other cultures. That's true. The English humor is very, very specific, very, very, very sharp and personal, right? But that again, it would be a good way of making them understand what they laugh at. Maybe they will say, okay, I don't find the joke, but okay, this is what they laugh at. Oh.
Yeah. But have you seen all of the discussion which has been going on online about non-native English speakers?
About what? Can you say that again? What kind of topic, Elizabeth?
About teachers who are not native English speakers.
No. Where is that?
It's called the TEFL Advocacy, I think. I'll find it for you. I'm trying to peel.
Oh, yes. Can you please?
Yes, and this is actually a point which has not been brought up there. And to me, it's a real, it's an interesting point, because you really do have to understand the culture. And I have seen teachers come in straight from England with absolutely no idea about the humour of where they are. They don't see what's happening. It's something. Okay, I'll find it for you.
Oh, okay, great. So will you be sending the link to me, please?
And of course, anything that's posted in the text chat will also go in the show notes. I generally,
Maria,
for these,
of course. Sorry, Van.
I get a text rendition of the text chat, and then I put it in a Google Doc and share it, and put its link in at learningtogether.net.
Hi all, this is Maria from Argentina. We actually live in the same province, Rita and myself. Although Rita is living in the home birth of Messi, I live in the capital of the province. But anyway, that's another story. What I have to say, I follow the TEFL Advocates YouTube channel, and I follow these people who are doing a great job about the discussion, their contribution to the discussion of native and non-native speakers. I think that is a very valuable one. The work they are doing on this thing is very interesting. I was also there for the IATEFL keynote of teacher who was also talking about this native and non-native issue, which is so important today. Sometimes I think we should blog more about what it means to be a non-native speaker of the language. In fact, there are some native speakers who are asking us, non-native speakers, for tips or ideas on what it means to be or to teach without being a native speaker of the language. But what is valuable to the takeaway from these understanding or not understanding humor is the learning process that we go through in trying to get to the ha-ha point. So instead of, just arguing about what's the best thing to be a native speaker or not, we should, in a way, celebrate the differences and capitalize on that, and showing our learners the process that we've been through in trying to get to the funny point of a cartoon or anything that is humorous for people in the target language is what we can share with our students. That process, and then have fun. I don't know where it's written that we can't have fun in the English classroom, while learning anything. The best thing that I take from these meetings is the fun you have together learning, and that's priceless, I think. So we have to bring back the fun into the classrooms. Otherwise, we'll be alone teaching to ourselves. So thank you very much, Rita, for making up this presentation. I really enjoyed this.
Thank you, Maria. Thank you very much, because what you've said is quite true. And I do think that we should be bringing really humor into our classrooms, because it adds so much and it helps students learn much in a better way. So again, thank you once again, and thank you all for being here, Clarita, Claire, Elizabeth, Maria, Peggy, and Tiziana from Italy. It's been a pleasure to share this presentation with you all, and well, let's go on being in contact. Thanks, Vance, and his persistence in sharing all these sessions and finding more people to lead them every single weekend. Thank you again, and bye-bye.
Yes, thank you. Rita responded to just a note I put in one of the announcements on the Webheads list and the multiple literacies lists, asking for, just letting people know that we didn't have that many people lined up in the next few weeks, a couple of months actually. And if anybody would like to make a presentation or host a presentation or host a discussion or wants us to talk about something, we can always, if there's a topic you're interested in, you could always propose it. And so Rita was the one response that I got, and I told her, well, you throw a line in the sea and you come up with a fish and you've got a meal. So that's what we ended up with. So it's always worth casting that line and getting other people to, so if you get a response, it's great. So yes, okay. Well, there's another one. I just threw the line back in the ocean, and I'll wait for the bait to nibble at it. Meanwhile, there are a couple of people who are lining up some things. We're talking about having a few events. Jeff LeBeau, maybe I'll get together with him one of these days. Somebody just wrote an article for Tessel EJ, which is something that I edit. If you're familiar with Tessel EJ, the electronic journal, tesselej.org. You can, anyway, I edit a column there, so somebody just wrote an interesting article, and we're going to have them come online and talk about it. So little things like that happen all the time, so without presentations. But yeah, a banquet or a feast, that's right. So, okay, I suppose we're winding down. It's been a little bit over an hour, which is good timing. And thank you, Peggy, for all your inspiration. We really appreciate the leadership you've shown. And of course, I've known you since K-12 online. I suppose it's probably, or maybe even before that. I'm not sure. That was one of my awakenings. So anyhow, that was in 2006. I remember that well. But anyway, and through World Bridges, I think maybe through World Bridges, through Jeff LeBeau and World Bridges, EdTech Talk, there were quite a lot of people from ISTE, and I met a lot of people. In fact, come to think of it, Arvin Grover, I met him in at the last conference, and I asked him if he would like to come and do a presentation. I've never followed up on that, but he's just moved to Houston, Texas, where I come from. And anyhow, so that's another one you just reminded me. So we can bring those communities together. So it's good to have this space, the Learning Together space, and it's good to have these wonderful presentations. They're all archived at learningtogether.net, and there's an index of them if you can find in that archive. If you go to learningtogether.net/about, you'll find a link to the index. So if no one has any, but what I generally do with these events that we hold in Blackboard Collaborate is I invite people to ask questions. I'll hold the microphone open for as long as anybody wants to talk. If it goes silent, I'll silence the recording and stop the recording. And then we have to empty the room. So some people are going already. If anybody is left, I'll move them away. And because once the recording gets made once the room clears. So thanks, everybody. Any last words? Any last comments? Tiziana? Okay, Tiziana's gone. Claire is last one. So, okay, thanks, everybody. This has been Learning Together. That's Learning Together with a 2 in it. Okay, Claire, thank you. This is just me now. So this is the 29th of May, 2016. And we've been talking to Rita Zeinstejer, and this recording will go up as a YouTube and as a MP3, and of course it's being recorded on Illuminate It's actually a Illuminate website, but it's now owned and operated by Blackboard, Collaborate by Blackboard. Okay, thank you very much, everyone, and nice to have this session again. Bye-bye.